just to get back to the story,
Yeah.
man. So I saw Frosty Freeze dancing, man, and I was like, "What the hell is that?" And immediately I went home and started practicing.
Really?
Immediately, it was just something, yeah. And and I'll tell you something about me with hip hop is that it saved my life. It saved my
Hmm.
life in two different ways because I was the shyest person, and then all of a sudden now I'm an MC. I host parties. I've been doing, I changed my whole life behind that. But I also got shot in my neck, and it hit my
Oh, wow.
jugular vein. It hit my jugular vein,
Dang.
right? And the doctors were like, they didn't know how I was still alive. But from spinning on my head, my arteries and my veins were bigger than normal, and they brought
Wow.
oxygen and blood. So I was born to be a b-boy, and I still, I still am. It was just something that I was born to do, and from the beginning, I believed that we were going to do huge things, man. I was 15, 16 years old, and I was the leader of Dynamic Rockers, support and all of that. And I just believe I thought we were going to have our own cartoon shows. We were going to have like dolls of us. I really believed that something great was going to come out of this.
Hmm.
And and so I pushed, man. I was 15 years old teaching my guys. So Frosty was the first. So I am, you know,
Where did you see him at?
in Amsterdam projects.
Mm.
I see. I'm a Manhattan boy. Everybody says Dynamic is from Queens, and we are from Queens. But I became the leader. But I was living in Manhattan. I lived in Manhattan. We were the Majestic Four. Me, my brother, Mr. Freeze, who was a top rocker. If you see like in the Soul Sonic Force video, the tall guy with the gray suit on, up rocking and like taking everybody out. That was my brother. He was also Mr.
Yeah.
Freeze, and then Kid Freeze was my cousin originally.
Really?
And the new Kid Freeze battled my cousin and took his name, which was great. My cousin gave it to him and everything. But yeah,
Oh,
we had a
so it was a different Kid
yeah,
Freeze.
he was a different Kid Freeze. His name was Pierre, and he was great because my brother was Mr. Freeze. But and the other Mr. Freeze and him used to always like, like, yo, we gotta get different names and all that. But Mr. Freeze, so yeah, Frosty to me the best out of Rocksteady. And when I first started, then I heard about Crazy Legs, but the best out of Rocksteady to me was Frosty Freeze and Mr.
So
Freeze. Those
so
two
your original crew was, what was it called again, you said?
dynamic rockers.
No,
Yeah,
no, but
we were the Majestic Four in the Dynamic
Majestic Four.
Rockers. That was we
Oh,
were like
okay.
yeah, we were called the Majestic Four in the Dynamic Rockers. But
So
I
was
was
you the first one to dance in the
huh?
group? Were you the first one to dance
No,
in
no,
the
no.
group?
I came in and the leader was already Eddie Ed. But I wasn't the leader yet.
Mm.
He wanted he was getting married. His girlfriend was serious, so he wanted to give it to somebody. He gave it to me because
So
I
when
was
you
the best at that time, huh?
so when you met Frosty Freeze, you started dancing, but you didn't know dynamic yet.
Yeah. Well, I started with the Manhattan Boys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I started with them in Amsterdam, but that was after I saw Frosty Freeze. I started seeing people and I started practicing with people, and they were the Manhattan Boys.
And what
Joe,
year was that that you saw
that was
Frosty?
78.
78?
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah,
Nice. Okay. So you saw Frosty, you started dancing with the Manhattan Boys,
yeah.
and then came dynamic, right?
Dynamic. Yeah, they saw us. We were going to a teenage club. And it was on the east side, and I forgot the name of it, but that's where we met Eddie Ed and a couple of other people, and we just started. We joined them.
Mm-hmm.
My team was like, "Yo, we got to join these guys. These guys are really good," and we did, and it was great. It was great. It was the best decision that I made. When he was, I didn't tell the rest of the Majestic Four that Eddie Ed was looking for a new president. I went by
Mm-hmm.
myself,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, they wanted me to be it anyway. So I became the leader, and that was in '79.
Do you know how, I'm just curious, how Dynamic Rockers started?
Yeah,
Since they
yeah.
started
It
before
was
you?
Eddie Ed. It was Eddie Ed. It was Charlie Chaz. It was what what's his name? I can't even. The Ace, and Dennis. There was like 6 guys that. By the time I got there was at least already 10, 12 people.
Like
They had
how long had they already been a crew for?
probably just a year.
Just a
Just a
year.
year. Yeah. So
And they was
78 is
probably
when they started. I took over at 79.
okay. So they was probably started dancing what, like 78, 77? Like just
78.
started dancing?
They probably were dancing before, but Dynamic came 78 because Eddie Ed was from the Bronx too. You know, there was
Okay.
just, a lot of people from different places, and they became, they had a nice crew, and that for the first year I was following around and learning and learning and learning and learning, and I decided I remember doing a windmill, like going in, doing a backspin and coming out and going back. I said I got to keep going around. I want to keep going, and I was doing it on concrete, so my face would peel all the time.
Mm,
And it's funny because a lot of people don't want to know. They just listen to whatever, and oh, there's so many different versions of it or whatever. But here's the deal. Here's in Lincoln Center when we battled Rocksteady, not one of them could do windmills because none of
mm-hmm.
them did windmills. Like, who wouldn't do windmills at that time, right? That was like a big move. And none of them could do it, but all of us could. And he says that he invented it, which is ridiculous. And I'll tell you another story about him because when after I started getting good, I made a list of the top 5 people I was going to battle. I don't remember a lot of Kid Saucer, Spy, different people. I remember going to their apartments and battling them on their birthdays, whatever parties they were
You
having.
said Spy?
Yeah, back in the day.
Did you know Spy? Did you see Spy dance?
Huh?
Did you know Spy? Did you see him dance?
I don't know about a battle spy. I don't remember their names now, back then, but he was on my list. I don't know if I ever did see him. I don't know because I don't know when Spy. I don't know
But you heard
when did he pass away? He passed away, right? Spy
no, no,
early, young.
no.
Then
He's
I
in jail.
battled him. Then I did battle him. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Rubber Band was the one that passed away earlier.
Well, I don't know. There was a lot of rubber bands.
Well,
There was a
whatever.
lot of rubber
Anyway, it doesn't
bands.
matter. But number 5, that's what we want to talk about. Number 5 was Crazy Legs.
Oh, yeah.
And so I took a cardboard box and a boom box, and I knocked on his door and battled him downstairs. We went to his apartment and we battled him downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
And as we were battling, here's what you need to hear too. This is important. He said, "Yo, I beat you because you did that move twice." What do you think that move was?
Windmill?
It was a windmill, and he called it
How
that
did you,
move. And see, he didn't understand that the windmill was a connective part of
mm,
it was something that connected you to the vest. It was like footwork, but on your backs now. And so he to this day, that's what he says to me. You did that move. So which one was it? Did I beat you because it was a connected move, or I did the move twice, and so you don't even remember what it was. And I did it to him against twice. The first one was windmills, and then I did a freeze, and then I did windmills up to back to a head spin. So
really?
back to heads, yeah, I was doing those too. I invented a lot of stuff, and people just don't know that. But it was because we used to practice all the time. I mean, we were practicing 5-6 hours a day. I made it a business when we were kids. Kid Freeze made the continuous head spins because he saw me doing windmills. So he saw me catching
Mm-hmm.
and going back in and catching. So he started kicking and catching and kicking again instead of doing one shots. And then he saw me do a glide, which I invented also, a hand glide. I started tapping, and so that he started tapping. So that's how we taught against each other. My brother did no hand footworks back then. I mean, we had 90s were wavy legs and spinner. I mean, Icy Ice was original Kid Glide. You didn't know that, right?
No.
Icy Ice was Dynamic Rockers too. Float was Dynamic Rockers too. We had a lot of people that we went through our team. Oz came in Lincoln Center and wanted to learn from us, and we taught him first, and then he went to Rocksteady and New York City Breakers. But we taught him first, windmills and all that stuff. And
Wow.
so, you know, so he said you did that move, and then all of a sudden now he's telling the world that he created it. And
Why didn't
if he created it, why didn't anybody from Rocksteady, not one person, do windmills in Lincoln Center? Not one of them.
right?
The year after we did That's Incredible, not one of them was doing windmills. Later on, they got Buck and all these other guys, you know, where they started doing all this stuff, but they didn't have a chance against us because we were taking it to the air now. You know,
Now that thing on That's Incredible. The New York City, the Floor Masters, they did do windmills.
well, the Floor Masters did.
Yeah.
Yes, they had windmills before him too. Yes, the Floor
Hmm.
Masters were a lot more of a problem than they were. And you know,
Hmm.
they actually had Chino and Bryant with them too when we battled them. We
So
still kicked their ass, but only one. The first time, the only one that had windmills in that was really only Chino.
let me
The
ask
rest
you
of
this:
them didn't have windmills yet.
Who do you think won That's Incredible battle, and why?
I think we won both times. The first time we were doing different things than footwork and freezes.
Hmm.
You know, Rocksteady, because we Rocksteady was on That's Incredible too. That they were first.
Oh, they
We
were.
did it twice. Yeah, we
Oh
did it
no, I
twice.
didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah, we did it twice.
Is that
And
footage out
that's
there?
the one where he goes that he came to our turf and that everybody was chanting then Rocksteady in the thing, and so he won. That's not what happened. What
Oh, I
happened
thought that
was,
was at the roll. Was that at the roller?
yeah,
Well,
that
that
the
was in
whole thing.
Queens, right?
That's where That's Incredible. The original was. That whole thing
Oh,
was That's Incredible. But the big thing is that Baby J didn't want to be in the middle of it, and he said that it was a tie. It wasn't the crowd that said it was a tie. We couldn't even hear Rocksteady in that crowd. They were all saying dynamic, but you know they like making things up. Like they beat us up in Lincoln Center, which is another lie, because
yeah.
I lived across the street from Lincoln Center. Amsterdam Projects was in the house. The whole freaking Amsterdam Projects was there. There's no way you were gonna beat us up. It's just, you know, look, when we started, they were the team, right? And the same thing happened to us later on in life. And the only reason why we're not bigger known is because we had a team inside of our team that decided to take the name and everything. Because I was a manager, and we were just getting a manager. They took everything and they changed it to Dynamic Breakers, and then 2 years later they were done. Because
Mm.
they really weren't. They weren't the heart and the center of it. It was me. I did all the I believed that it was a job. And we were 15, 16, 17, and I was, making these guys work.
Well, let me ask you this:
Yeah.
that battle where you guys battled Rocksteady, right?
Hmm.
And um, that was on That's Incredible TV show.
Yeah.
So is the whole battle like did they put the whole battle on the TV show, or did they chop it up and put clips of it?
They put the whole battle, if I'm not mistaken. Both of them were at the same spot.
Okay, because I seen the battle between y'all and Floor Masters, and they showed the whole battle, like everybody that went. But I've never seen the full footage of you guys versus Rock City.
Yeah, it's the one that they say that they cheered everybody on, and
Hmm.
he used a lot of that for the other movie that they
The
did.
Star
Um,
Wars, was it
Star
Star
Wars, yeah,
Wars?
that
Yeah.
was they used a lot of that. And if you look at Star Wars, okay, here's another thing for you to know. It's ridiculous. If you look at Star Wars, right, they are sped up. Every time that they go down, the speed is fast, and every time we go down, they slowed us down in that movie. I mean, why do you need to do that? Why can't we just show what happened?
Mhm.
Because you know why? Because the truth is that we kicked their butt. We kicked their butt in Lincoln Center, and they bought more than their crew. But they
Mm.
say that we weren't good, and they bought other people, like, Lep was there, and other people were there that were not part of Rocksteady. They bought like 4 or 5 different crews, up rockers that they didn't have. We had the best up rockers. And if you ask Mr. Freeze, man, he told me recently, and Mr. Freeze was magic, man. That guy could dance. He told me, he said, I never seen top rocking until like you guys. My brother was
Hmm.
phenomenal. Now you know how they, when they're doing all this, we had two guys that one would put his hand on the shoulder of the other guy in
Hmm.
front and come from the side. And if somebody came to hit him, he would pull him back. I mean, we were crazy dope. It was ridiculous.
Hmm.
There was nobody fucking with dynamic rockers, man. It
Somebody
just
said,
wasn't.
Taekwon said, who has the footage, the Lincoln Center battle?
Who has footage? I think that Holman, Michael Holman has some footage. I think
Okay.
so. I think he's the only one that really has it. I think. I'm not sure, but he was during those days. He was recording everything.
Well, if they
So I think he
made
hasn't
an
released it
episode
yet.
of that, if there was an episode of That's Incredible, you versus Rock City, that has to be out there somewhere.
Yeah, it's out there. It's just nobody. The other one is bigger, better.
Mm-hmm.
The one we did with the Flow Masters was bigger, better.
Mm-hmm.
That was a lot better. It was a harder competition for us. I mean, I think that we still edged it, but they were on their way.
Mm-hmm.
It was during our time. That was our time. Dynamic was the time. And Pex used to always like call us faggots and all the because we used to dress different and everything. And about 8 years ago, he calls me, right? He calls me, he's like, yo, Glyde. And I'm like, who's this? He's like, yo, it's Pex. I'm like, Pex, you hate me. And he's like, nah, bro, I don't hate you, man. To be honest, man, I really want to thank you. I want to give you an award because you made me go home and practice every time we battled. And it was the same way. It was the same way. It was the same way. We felt the same way. Every time we battled them, it was a complete different, to me, it was dynamic, New York City Breakers, Incredible Breakers, Scrambling Feet, and then it would be
Rock City.
Rocksteady. And that's where it
Do you
was until they
ever
found
see
better
like,
people. The thing is that they found better people and kept going through the 80s and 90s. We didn't because we were doing other things, but it was just me at one point. But people don't know Wavy Legs. I mean, they don't, and Wavy Legs was a problem.
really?
Wavy Legs was what he was just as good, if not better, than Kid Freeze, and he was from Ecuador, from Quito.
Mm.
He was a vicious. Like his footwork was like a ballerina. He was just really creative. We had Spinner was great because he could pop and break on. We had a great group. And
And
Green Eyes, there were so many people. There's just so many people, and that nobody knows because of the split up. The movie, we were supposed to do it.
mm.
They told me. They literally pulled me aside and said, "You guys won already. Don't worry about it. You guys are gonna be in the movie." And then we
So
split.
you guys auditioned, right?
We didn't have to audition.
You didn't even have to audition. They just contacted
They
you
they
and said
con
they
yeah,
want you.
everybody contacted. You don't understand what was going on. Africa Bambata was a judge at the big breakdance, the contest that happened. I forgot the name of dance. It was I forgot it was a big club anyway. And he looked at me and said, "Glyde, you guys are the astronauts of breakdancing." This is what he said. I kid you not. And here's proof of it. We did the Soul Sonic Force video,
Mm.
but they canceled it because Legs, how he always likes to lie and get himself in there, told Africa Bambaataa that we were down with the ball busters when we were not down with the ball busters. They
Mm.
had a contract on us too. They wanted to kick our ass,
Mm.
and it was just crazy. But so he took it away. But he called us the astronauts of breaking. We were doing things that nobody else was.
Wow.
Nobody else was. And so everybody learned and changed, and it changed there. It started changing and going into, and New York City Breakers were great. They saw what they saw. They learned, and they also had the full work. I mean, we had people that had good full work too. Don't get it wrong. We had some really good, but like Wavy Legs was a problem. I mean, I could tell
So
you
why
stories.
why you guys didn't get the movie? Why you guys didn't do the movie?
The dynamic breakers, I call them the fakers, came to me and said, "Yo, there's too many of us. We're gonna go on a tour." But they didn't understand because the people were calling me. Everybody was calling me. "Hey, listen, we got a show. Everybody wants to see you. You got to come and be here." I mean, this was what was happening all the time, and so they were greedy. They were greedy. All we had to do was step into the next 6 months, and everything would have been different in our lives.
Mm.
But, you know, for me, I'm excited that it's different because my son wouldn't have been who he is. You know, I had, you know, Kid Glide took over. And, you know, if I was still doing it, you know, I have a big, you know, energy, man, that people, you know, around. I'm sure you can see that in me. You know, I have a positive energy about life. And
Yeah.
you know, so now I'm back in helping and working with my son. So it's great. You know, it's better. I'm happy and joyful that my son is who he is and what he is for the culture and what he's done. You know, he's done his own stuff. He didn't have to do what I did. And, you know, and we're just getting started. You know, this Dynamic is probably the only crew that's still here since 78, 79.
So
We never
I
stopped
don't know if I didn't understand, I don't think I understood. How come you guys didn't get the? Why did you guys not get the role in the movie?
because the guys, they got the management that I brought in let me go. They fired
Oh,
me. And I was a kid. I was 18 years old. I didn't know about suing them or fighting them back in court and all of that. And my son was not even born yet. And so they
well,
took the
did they
whole
give you
crew.
a reason?
They Because there was too many of us. And I said,
Oh,
we can't leave anybody behind. You know what they
mm,
did? They went and they talked to everybody else and tried to get me to be the only one thrown away because I was so serious about practicing. And I built these guys. I mean, Spider auditioned for me in my house. He had to audition, which is hilarious for a b-boy to audition. He auditioned. His whole crew came, and he was the only one that made it into the group. But he auditioned for me, and these guys forgot about all the things that I did for them. I mean, I was stealing money from my pops to like buy outfits for us and everything, knowing that I was going to pay him back and all that. And they just took it all away. And the management, they went and told Berry Gordy, and Lex tells a story too about this. He tells Berry Gordy that, well, we do our own routines, which the routines were mine. They just pretend that they made up shit. The routines were all mine, and Berry Gordy told them no and got rid of them. So it would have been the Dynamic Breakers. It wouldn't have been us.
mm.
Yeah. And 2 years later, they were done. They stopped dancing. So they were just about the money. You know, I mean, sometimes that happens, and we were making the money. We were the team that everybody was calling. And so the next 2 years, they performed. Now you don't get those things, you know. That was all the work that I built that they took and moved on. You know, that 2 years was all stuff that I created with them. They don't, you know, they pretend that that's not true, but the truth is that Dynamic as a whole was a problem. And the thing is, like, I love being around Noel and all these guys. I mean, they know because we know what we were doing back then, and it was magic. It was complete magic, man. Battling those guys, including Rocksteady, was magic.
So
It really was.
let me ask. Let me go back. I want to go back to the windmill,
Yeah.
right? So, like, when you like, what was your inspiration for doing the windmill? And like, obviously, you didn't see anybody else do it,
No.
right?
I just thought it in my head. Let me tell you something about me. Like, if I was to train with anybody that you know, like even now, even the best guys, like I'm still, when I see what they're doing, I have an eye for crazy moves. Like I can like create things out of nowhere. Like even now, I'm working with people. I don't want to name their names because you know they're amazing, but I'm working with some top people, and I still fix their shit because I see moves.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. I was just born that way, and I saw a windmill. I remember doing a glide and going, you know, like going into a backspin and then coming back out to a glide, and I was like, oh shit, I can do a windmill.
Did you call it a windmill when you did it?
Yes, I called it a windmill immediately. I don't actually, matter of fact, the guys from Dynamic did when we were practicing them.
Uh-huh.
When they were practicing, they were like, oh man, that's the windmill. That looks like a windmill glide. And I'm like, okay, that's the name, windmill. And it was
That's
it's funny because I didn't even want to be glide. I was fly ski. That was my name at first, fly ski, which is hilarious.
mm.
Imagine kid glides fly ski. My son would hate me. Yeah,
So
and that was it. I mean, at the end of the day, what's the earliest footage of the windmills? Well, I mean, you know, if we had phones, it would be in the 80 is when I invented them. 81 is when we were perfecting them, you know. So, yeah, I mean, I was scraping on my floor on this whole side of my face
So
coming out.
when you did the windmill, like how many did you do? Did you? I mean, obviously at first you probably did one, right?
Yeah,
But
I did
when did
like
you start to do
two, and
more
then
than
I
one?
started doing three, 2 to 3, with hands at first. But I didn't, then Wavy Legs came in and started doing them with no hands.
Okay. So you
Yeah,
used to stab.
yeah.
You used to stab
I
up
did the
like with
stab
the.
windmills, yes, but I created the windmills, and then I started going, and then he once he did it with no hands, I was like, oh shit, I gotta start doing it, so I did them too. But Wavy Legs was a problem. He
So
was
he was. So he was the one who invented the windmills with no hands.
no
Just
hands,
waving.
yeah. And then the ones behind his behind like this
The
was
handcuff.
Finesse. He's the one that did the Burger King commercial. Back
Oh, I don't
in
know.
the day, there was a Burger King commercial, and so Finesse got it, and he was dope too. He was second generation, but people don't even know Style and Finesse. They don't even remember these guys.
Hmm.
It's crazy the team that we had. We had an incredible team,
Yeah, I
and a
never
lot
heard
of
of him.
people, a lot of people, even Josh from Incredible Breakers learned from Freeze. I mean, a lot, and Freeze learned from me. I taught him a lot when he was young. He was like 14 years
You
old.
talking about
He wasn't
Kid Freeze
Freeze.
or
Yeah,
Mr. Freeze?
Kid
Kid
Freeze.
Freeze.
Yeah. I mean, I was
Hmm.
drilling these guys. We drilled all the time. We worked for hours and hours and hours. And then they were like, "Hi, Rock, you're a villain." I don't know what you're talking about. Homage. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, this and nobody wants to investigate it because they don't want, they want to keep living the dream that, it was all rock steady and whatever back then, and it wasn't. They were when we
Oh,
started.
I'm
Trust me.
all about investigating, man.
Yeah, but they were the crew when I started. They were the people that I wanted to be, battling against, and we did. And once we
Wow.
did, it was different.
So
It all changed. We changed it, and there's a lot of people talking to a lot of people from the past and all of this, but nobody's talking about the team that came in and changed it from the floor to the air. We are the fathers of air because we're the ones that started doing other things besides footwork. Windmills was the beginning of it, and we did a lot of other things from there. Icy Ice.
so
I mean,
so
he
so
invented the
nobody.
Halo. I saw he did that with us at the same place, Halo, where he was on his hands and he spun around and he made a sweat thing, a circle. And that's people keep calling halos the head tracks, and the head tracks are not halos. Then
Hmm,
they're not halos. They're head tracks.
head track. Right. Right.
Head track is the head track. It's not a halo, but people call it halo. The halo is when he was spinning around like that, and his head made a circle, a full circle on there, and we all watched that happen.
Almost like a glide, right?
No, it's like up here, like up on the head, and the head is making sweat on there, and then you go up to
Oh,
a head track. It's the beginning part of a head track, but it's a
hmm,
halo.
okay.
Yeah.
So, so you guys never saw any air moves like before y'all started doing them? Like, what was the most
No.
power moves that you saw? Obviously, backspin, right? Head spin,
Yeah, one shots and backspins. That's all there was right there at that time. Baby
and that was it.
swipes.
No
Baby
flares,
swipes.
no
No
90s.
flares, no 90s, none of that.
They had swipes,
Swipes. And
swipe.
Wavy Legs had some incredible swipes too. Wavy Legs and Crazy Legs had a battle where Crazy Legs took his shirt off. That was at the skating rink. And then like 2 moves later, like Wavy Legs took his shirt off and finished him off like with no shirt, and he had to put his shirt back on because he was doing windmills with no shirt on. Kid Freeze was doing windmills in concrete back in the days
Wow.
on concrete. I mean, we invented those things. We figured out how to use the body. We got better and better at it. Um, and I mean, to invent the continuous head spins was crazy too. Like, like that's one of the big, huge things. Elbow spins we were doing all kind of crazy things. We were trying to fly. We we
What
we
about
wanted
flares? What
flares
about flares?
came later. They came
So
later. They
you
came
guys
like
really
82,
wasn't doing
83.
flares?
No, we didn't have anything to do with flares.
Okay.
But the hollow back also was dynamic.
Okay. Hmm.
Hip freeze. And you know the elbow spin that Kid Freeze does like that on his elbow? You ever seen him do it? I invented
Mm-hmm.
that. I invented that in Roseland many years ago. And everybody was there. Chino was there. Brian, they saw me. But, you know, I was tripping on acid. Not that I want to spread the news, but we were all crazy. And I just said, I'm going to go on my elbow. And I got up on my elbow. And I spun around a half a turn. I can still do it pretty. I mean, like, I don't know recently, but like 5, 6 years ago, I was still being able to get up on my elbow. I'm 58 years old.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Um, did you ever see like Rockwell Association or like I already asked you about the CC crew, like Spy and them, like the early crews, like I'm trying to think of other ones, but yeah, like Rockwell Association or any of
They
those guys,
stayed away from us. A
like
lot of them,
TBB. Did you ever see TBB?
I never saw TVB.
Okay.
But I know their history. I know that they were there before us, you know. But it was more footwork and you know more stuff like that, and you know, and that was what was happening. You know, that's how it was back then. You
Did you
know,
go to the Bronx, like and to the jams out there in the Bronx,
yeah,
like in the in
yeah,
78, 79?
yeah. I went to
So
people's house and
yeah.
battled them in their own birthday parties, man. It was crazy. I don't know
Mm,
how I'm alive, but I am alive.
mm.
It's pretty crazy. But yeah, I mean, you know, those crews, they weren't coming for us. Nobody wanted to come for us. The only ones that wanted to come for us was Rocksteady, Took a Chance, and New York City Breakers. And they beaten us. The New York City Breakers are beating us. We beating
So
them, and they
let
beating
me
us.
ask you this. Let me ask you this. When you first busted out the windmill, right? What was the reaction from people that, you know, other breakers or just people watching
People started
when you did the
just doing
windmill?
it. People just started learning and doing them.
Yeah,
The
and
next thing you knew, like it was
that was
out.
my second. That was what I was going to ask. Secondly, was the first person that you saw outside of the crew that started doing the windmill?
Chino, Chino, uh, um, 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 Noel's but partner, not
Mm-hmm.
not not the other Chino, but
Oh, okay,
action. Yeah, and then Pax, and then Bob. I mean, they all started getting it right away.
really?
Yeah, I mean, if you ask Chino action, he'll tell you he was the only one that was really doing good windmills at that time. The other team, they were still not doing them. They were probably doing it with their hands, you know, a little bit. But action will tell you later on. The next time we battled them, it was different.
They all had it. So
They all had it, yeah, and they all had it. But Rocksteady didn't have it.
yeah,
Like you know,
had it.
if it wasn't for Kiriaki and Buck, they wouldn't have even had it in B Street. None of them
Well, I
did
think Legs
windmills,
was doing
huh?
windmills. I think Legs did windmills.
He didn't do no windmills.
And he didn't do windmills in B Street.
No, he did a backspin and came up, popped up with his sneakers on the bottom.
Oh, could have sworn he did windmills. But
Maybe he did windmill or two, but he wasn't doing it with no hands.
no, I think it was using hands.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it was using hands.
yeah. I mean, if you invented something, you should be good at it.
Mm.
I mean, that's the truth. And you know, and people, you know, there's a lot of people that just listen to one side of the history and talk a lot, but they weren't there. Like if people were there, they would have a lot more respect for us.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
if you ask Incredible Breakers who are freaking masters, they're crazy out of control. If you ask New York City Breakers who were, you know, phenomenal too, they're gonna tell you who we were. They know who we were. And
But they'll admit that they got the windmill from you guys, right? Like if
yeah,
I ask them, they'll
yeah,
say, "Oh, yeah, we got it from
yeah.
Dynamic."
We the future happened from Dynamic. We would it was and I'm not bragging about it. We worked our ass off.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted it was not a game to us. We were trying to freaking create a business out of that. You know, I'm business minded my whole life, man. We took it serious. We took it
Mm-hmm.
serious. I remember losing to Little Lep. He took me out in Roxy's. You know, it was his day. He took me. He beat me. You know, and there was some crazy like Tino and Brian against Wavy Legs and Freeze in the Funhouse. That was a huge event too. It was going to be a brawl, but it ended up being a battle, which was great. You know, and that's my family. I mean, New York City Breakers, Incredible Breakers, they're my family, man. You know, I love talking to Mr. Freeze. You know, these. I mean, it was magic. It really was. We had a heart for what we were doing. We really wanted to, and it's funny because so many people like have this like the crowd doesn't matter and all that. I mean, I have different. For me, when I go to these new events now, one of the things that bothers me, Mix, is like that you go no you go shit.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
We were like, that's my dance floor. We were dying to go first. It's like, come take this from me. You know, it's like, that's how I feel. That dance floor is mine, and you got to come earn it. And they're like, whoa, then you know what they're doing. No. If you go and you do your second best move and you smack them in the face with your second best move, they're gonna be thinking that's the way he's starting. They don't know. They're not assassins in their heads. Like if you go and your first move is like fucking ridiculous, well, that person's gonna be fucked up right away, immediately. Like, holy shit, I didn't expect that. That's his starting shit. That's a lot more. That's a lot more mental than watching somebody else go.
Yeah, yeah, I feel you. Well, I'm gonna ask you this: what about Manhattan cruise? Was there any like other
Oh,
cruise from Manhattan?
Scrambling Feet was good too. The Lower
Yeah.
East Side. Scrambling Feet was no joke, man. Very underrated. And those guys took us out one time too, man. They came and they battled us, man. And then I had to make a different routine. It was called Scramble Feet. Scrambled
What
eggs,
about
that's what I
like
call it.
Rock
Scrambled
City?
eggs.
What about like Rock City crew? Did you ever see those guys? Or like
Rock
the
City?
Executioners? Rock City?
Rock City, yeah. We know Rock City, yeah. Rock City Rockers.
Well, they was from Manhattan, right?
The Rock City Rockers, yeah, that's where Legs was originally. They're from the Bronx.
Oh, okay.
Rock City Rockers was Legs was before. That's where I heard of his name in Rock City Rockers when I was a Manhattan boy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about like Hot Feet Rockers?
Don't
You
remember.
ever
Furious Rockers were good too.
Furious Rockers?
Yeah. There was a
They was
bunch.
from Brooklyn, right?
Yep.
Yeah. That's interesting. But what kind of music did you guys break to back then, like in the 70s and in the 80s?
I mean,
And did the music change from the
all the
70s to the
music
80s?
that people, Rock Beat Park, all the music back in that people are still using, man. So a lot of it
Same.
was great stuff.
What about like the electro stuff? Like, because I know in the 80s, electro came in hard, right?
Yeah, I'm not a big electro person.
Nah.
I like
Well,
music.
that was like kind of like the thing though, right? Like in the early 80s, was that like
I think that was
was that music played a
more
lot?
like West Coast, like kind of introduced that.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's funny. Here's another thing too that I want you to know, man. If you think about the way that people we even like created like style for dancing. Like people were not wearing tracksuits before us. They were wearing jeans, right? Converse or whatever, and like they were not wearing tracksuits. We were the first ones to do that.
Really?
Yeah, and we were the first ones with Pumas. I mean, with Nikes. Dancing with Nikes, where everybody else was dancing with Adidas and freaking things. We changed the game in many ways. Fashion, like if you look at Electric Boogaloo, the way they were dressed was the way we were dressed, and that's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
The Webo pants and all that
Yeah.
stuff. So I mean, Shabba-Doo is a legend. but he was dressed like us.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And it's crazy, right? It's like, you know, we were, that's how we were. We were changing fashion and all kind of things, man. It was just, it was amazing.
So you got you wear like the Puma suits and the Adidas suits?
Nah, not, we were wearing like the spinning suits, like the jogging suits that they were wearing, like just, you know, but they were like Nike more
Mm.
and stuff like that.
Oh,
Then people
okay.
started wearing Pumas and Adidas. I mean, we started wearing them too, but you know, we used to tie our laces around our legs in the bottom. Everybody else started doing that.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
And dude, I was a monster, man. I was business minded. It's like we gotta look like this, we gotta be different, we gotta stand out. We practice every day,
Mm.
5 or 6 hours every day. And if you were late, Kid Freeze was never in any of the shows that we did. He didn't go to any of them. You know why? Because he wouldn't show up. And there was too many. If I was to put Kid Freeze, because he was one of the best at the time, one of them, because we had a lot of them, you know, then that wouldn't be fair for the rest of the other team that was working.
You know, I think it's you know, there's a lot of truth to what you're saying about the history of dynamic rockers and how I feel like it's you know, it's not really a story that's told, the history that's told like it should be, you know. Of course, everybody knows Dynamic is a legendary crew, but
Yeah, but why,
most of
right? But
people,
why are we
that's what I was
legendary,
gonna
right?
say. Most people think about the Dynamic Rockers as a legendary crew because they battle Rocksteady, you know,
No,
in
we
that
destroyed
battle.
Rocksteady.
Right.
We
But
destroyed.
you never hear the, you know, what you're explaining, the
Yeah, yeah,
backstory, what the contributions that you
yeah.
guys made. You don't ever hear about that. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, and
you know,
then that's that. Thank you. I appreciate you seeing that, man. And I've been seeing it, and I've been like very quiet for a long time. But it's like, you know, I'm watching these people be interviewed that were like, you know, and they started, you know, before us, the generation before us, but they're not looking at the generation and the group that changed, because we wouldn't be seen if there weren't moves like this.
hmm
It, footwork was not going to get us on TV and all the things that we're doing in the Olympics right now. It just wasn't going to do it. And we were the ones that ingest, you know, created that and pushed it hard. And then people started learning from there, from the windmills and the 90s and all the air stuff and all of that started coming from these things that were created, you know,
so
in 36th Avenue.
So the windmill was created by you in 1980, right? Is that
Mhm.
correct?
Yeah.
1980. What the headspin was created by Kid Freeze, which is Dynamic Rocker member, right?
Mhm.
That's you said that was is that your cousin?
No, no, no. The headspin was the original, the real Kid Freeze that you know.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, I got you.
yeah.
He became a Dynamic member, right?
He was a
The,
member already. Yeah, he was like a
yeah, he
young
was a
kid and
member.
a member.
All right, and he created the headspin, the continuous headspin. What year was that?
80, 81.
About
Same.
80.
Whenever I created mine, he created his.
Okay.
We
And
used to battle each other. That's how we were. We were, because we were the Manhattan boys and they were the 36th Avenue. And so we used to battle each other every practice.
mm,
So that's how we got better and better.
oh, okay. All
Spinner did
right.
the 90.
Spinner.
Yeah.
Okay. He was a dynamic member.
Yeah. He was really good with floats and
And
windmills.
nobody you had never seen a 90 before he did it, right?
Nope. But let me tell you what happened at Lincoln Center and why it ended. So Spinner spun this way in windmills, and I spun this way in windmills, right? And I was doing a glide, and he was, the routine was we started doing some footwork. He went into floats, I went into glides. We spun around the opposite way. We landed like this on our floors with both sneakers. This, my sneaker here, right there, and his sneaker here. Boom. We practice it till like we landed from windmills, opposite way.
Mm.
That's how serious we were about dancing. Kid Freeze jumped on top of those two sneakers and did a head spin
Mm.
at
Wow.
Lincoln Center. That's how crazy we were. And
So he did
that's
a headspin on y'all shoes?
on our shoes, yeah. And what could they do? They had no answer for us. We were just
No
thinking
wonder
out of
the
the
footage
box.
ain't out there.
We were thinking out of the box. We were thinking about crazy shit. I mean, you know, that how we invented the spinning on the stomach on the head. We invented that in
Yeah.
the pool. That was
Mm.
me and Wavy Debs. So he was just jumping on me, and I was spinning him, and he would fall into the pool. And then we started learning how to stay up like that. We created a lot of
Cool.
stuff. A lot of stuff.
Wow.
Just everything
So,
was.
so the
We wanted to
90s,
do
90 was
outrageous
Spinner.
shit, huh?
You said 90 was a guy named Spinner,
Spinner, yeah.
right?
If you look it
And
up, it's like in the like some kind of book or something. They put it in there.
what about Glide move? I mean, obviously, I'm
The hang glide,
assuming.
yeah. Yes, it was the same time, pretty much the same time. I was working
Okay,
on both of them.
the hang glide, and that's like a stab, right? Where you're stabbing, but you're just sliding and spinning
Yeah, I
in a
was
circle, right?
spinning around, and then you know, then Matthew came and destroyed me with the fist freaking thing. Right.
Okay.
And so how I got him back was I created the backwards glide, and he couldn't spin backwards
Mm,
with his fist.
got
So
you.
that was the thing, you know. Of course, there's people out there talking and making things up. You know, people just love. I don't understand. Listen, whatever you did in the past, you know, it should be good enough. It should be good enough. Your contribution should be good enough instead of creating um false stuff, you know, that you were around in 79 and that you were learning from Kid Freeze in 79. Whoever it is, man, your history should be your history and you should be proud of that, right? We all contributed, but to sit here and make things up and like add yourself like you were this other person and created these moves, it's not true, you know?
Who did you
And
say did that? Did the glide on the fist? Who did you say did that?
um um Glide Master.
Glide Master.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, gotcha.
It's funny. He's the man. Glide
Hmm.
Master, man. He definitely was the man.
But he got the glides from you, right? Because you were the first one to do it.
He saw me doing a glide, and then he said I don't know, but he got it on his fist and he started killing it, man.
Hmm. That's interesting. And
Hold on
what
one
other
second.
moves?
Hold
Yeah,
on.
yeah,
Give me 1 second. I think
yeah,
somebody's at
yeah,
my
yeah.
door. Okay, babe.
What up, Ty? What up, Cooks? See who's on here. Rapid. What up? Renegade, Tofu.
We got a lot of people on here, man. So yo, and anyway, man, Taekwon, thank you, man. Thank you for sharing. Crazy Legs said he created the windmill. Why do you think? Why? I don't know why he, you know, he wants to go out with a bang and making things up, but he can't even do windmills. I, I'm just gonna keep it simple. It's why
I'll
if
give you
you
my
created
theory.
a move like that, would you not do it against the people you're battling in Lincoln Center? And not one of them did that. Not one. Not one.
I'll give you my
Yeah,
theory. And it's,
go ahead.
and it's just I'm letting you know right off the bat. It's just a theory. It's not a fact. But my theory is that Crazy Legs probably invented some type of similar move, like when they did the neck move, overextending, whatever. He may have created some form that resembled a windmill in some way. And when you guys came out with the windmill, he probably thought in his head, "Oh, they got it from me." You know what I'm saying? And not
Yeah.
really realizing that what you
But
did
he
was
remember that
different.
I battled him and did it against him, and he said you did that move already.
Yeah,
That's the other part.
right.
And that's the other part. You did that move already. So you lost because you did it twice.
Mm.
Like, I didn't do it twice. device. It's a connector. You just don't know that it's a connector yet. It's called a windmill. And
Right, right.
that's what I
Did
told
you
him.
do it multiple times, or did you just do one and then into something else?
No, I did it multiple times.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah. Who knows? Like I said, it's just a guess. I can't speak for him. You know what I mean? But yeah. So, is there any other moves that you want to speak on that Dynamic had a part to play or contributed?
Swirls, Kid Freeze, you know, the those. I mean, there's so many.
Mm.
I can't, but we could just go on with a bunch of different things that we did.
Mm.
You know, tracks. Oh, tracks. Like when you go from one hand, but like you're doing like shoulder rolls, but your feet are not
Mm.
touching. Those are
Mm.
tracks,
Okay.
and we invented those too.
Okay.
I think that was wavy, and also like wavy legs used to be able to do a backspin and then open up and then close again.
Mm.
So
Okay.
there was a lot of things, a lot of things.
What about combos? Did you guys do a lot of power combos?
Yeah, I mean that's all we did. We would put a lot of things together.
Mm-hmm. Like
Like one of the things
what were some
that
of
I
the
made us
combos?
do,
What were
like
some of the combos you guys used to do?
I would pair people up, and then we would teach each other our moves. So like
Hmm.
we all could do a lot of different moves, but some of us were specialized in certain things. But we can all
Mm.
do a lot of moves.
Mm-hmm. Got
Yeah.
you. Hmm. So, what was some of the combos that you guys used to do, like power move combos?
Like back to heads, come back down. Like I was doing windmills with no hands like this, and I would go up on
Mm-hmm.
my head and come back down and go back up on my head and go back down.
Mm.
Um, tracks. There was. I mean, I don't remember a lot of that stuff back then.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Cool. Well, yeah, that pretty much. I think that's pretty much sums it up. You know what I'm saying? Unless there's anything else that you want to say.
Legs knows what he was doing. I don't know who's that. Who are you?
Hurry.
I don't know what that means.
He's responding to my. I think he's responding to my theory. You know what I'm saying? Where he feels like
Yeah, I
Legs
mean,
knows
he
what he's
invented
doing.
that head, whatever he calls that head move, whatever, but neck move or whatever. But even the way he explains that is not a windmill.
Right.
It,
Right.
it's a neck move. Why don't you just
It's
stay
enough
with the
of-
neck move?
Yeah. Or continuous backspin is what he calls it. Is what I've heard him call it.
It's, it's none of the above. He was really, he had great footwork and a lot of nice little combos, but his spins were not that good. Let's just be serious.
Hmm.
His spins were not that good. He was not a spinner, unfortunately for him.
He said, Taekwon said, how many times did y'all battle Rocksteady, Lincoln Center, Star Wars, any other battles with Rocksteady?
All the time. We went to Roxy's and they started crying because we were there. Literally, you want to see how much of an assassin I was? 3 months. I said, we're not showing up to any battles or showing up anywhere for 3 months. And we disappeared and just didn't break for not where people could see us. Right. And then we finally we came and we walked in single line, one behind the other. This is how we were. And people like made us legendary at the Roxy's. They were like, who's that? Who's that? Oh, yo, that's Dynamic. They're back. That's mental shit that I was doing. Like putting us in the spot of like we disappeared and all of a sudden we've been practicing for this moment. And that's when I battled left because we went a while, we walked around the whole place, we looked at who we were gonna go and battle. He said, I'm gonna go battle this, that, and we were battling 4 or 5 crews at the same time. And we just went into different groups and started battling. And it was crazy. And people were like, yo, that's Dynamic. Yo, Dynamic's back. They made us legendary. I was, and when we got, then after we
What
got
year
all
was
together,
that? What year was that? Like
like
85, 84,
82, 83, something like that,
83?
83. And then we
Wow.
walked in, and then Then they had to line up. My whole crew would line up like, right behind me, and I would watch. This is how messed up we were messing up people's brains. They were like, "What the fuck?" Because once somebody would do a move, and I knew who would beat that move, and I would just look at the guy like this and go like this with my head. Think about that. That's mental. They're like, yo, these niggas are in the army. They're like
Mm.
serious. That we're getting in their heads. That was one of the biggest things that we were good at is battling in people's heads. We got in people's heads all the time. And that's one of the big things, man. People are not mental assassins and breaking anymore. It's a comic show. I mean, they got great moves, but there's it's a comic show. It is the you go, no you go. That to me is like it's a disrespect to the dance.
Mm.
This is the dance. This is our thing, man. It's like come take this from me. Rip my heart out.
Mm.
But you ain't gonna do it. I'm gonna rip your heart out, and I'm gonna go first. And we would if you battled one of us, we would all battle you. Like we would mean.
Yeah, definitely.
We definitely were different, man. But thank you for your time, bro. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man.
And so now, people can say whatever. I know what happened. I was there. And if you ask the guys back in the days that nobody was doing windmills except for us, and then everybody started doing windmills. It's it's it's
Nice,
it's
nice.
plain and simple. And
All
nobody
right,
wants to
cool.
know about it. Nobody wants to know about it.
That's what's up, man. Well, like I said, thank you again, man, and we'll stay in contact. And
Absolutely, man.
like
And
I
yeah,
said,
I'd love to go to one of your events, Top
oh,
Rocking or whatever.
we doing the MZK anniversary, in
When?
August,
Where?
in New York, in the
All
MZK
right, let me know.
anniversary.
Let me
So
know.
yeah, yeah. So I'll let you know, and we'll stay connected. All right, bro.
Pleasure to meet
All
you,
right,
brother.
man.
Keep
Peace
doing
and
what
God bless you,
you're
man.
doing.
All right, bro.
Later.
Peace. Yo, I don't know what happened. I think